apologize. I have been looking for the last 5 minutes for the remote to the AC units. I haven't found it yet. It's like, looking for your glasses. But we're going to go ahead and get started anyway. I wanted to start the turkey before we got on. But that didn't work out. So we are going to start now. I think I had some red onion left. And I wanted to put the ginger in. I like ginger in my poultry. You've heard me say that before. Good morning. Ooh, it looks like I just cut too much. We're not going to put all that in there. I'll put the rest in tea. Buenos dias. They're like, well, she's not coming. We're going to church. I get it, sis. Yeah, I think that's enough. I chopped too much ginger. So we're going to keep it to the side. I have mint. So I'm going to make mint ginger tea. Alright. Oh, there it is. Red onion. Oh, and then now I have to go back and reset the stove. Don't go anywhere. Cannot figure out what I did with the remote. Sorry guys. You know this stupid stove, it's a German brand, and when you wipe the surface, it does something. It shuts something off, then you have to go back to the panel and reset it like a computer. Isn't that crazy? The guy who put it together, I don't know if he was trained or not, but that happens a lot here, where people, are hired to do work that they're not certified to do. So, if that is the case, we don't know. Buenos dias. So you know what's happening today. We're doing these turkey wings. So, I should have marinated it yesterday, but I just rested yesterday, didn't do a whole lot. So this morning, when I went to the store in Costa del Este, the pack came with 2 big wings, right? So I separated the drummet from these, and I kept these whole because I'm thinking when I plate, I'm going to need these 2, kind of cross them over. And then the drummet, I cut in half. And then the tips are still here. Alright? So, 2 wings just give all that. And of course, I made a marinade. I had culantro, I had some poblano peppers, lots of garlic, vinegar, lime juice. And then, in the blender, then I added the adobo, paprika, cumin, salt, pepper, a little bit of habanero peppers, and then now I just added some ginger. I like to put ginger in my poultry. All right, so now we're gonna use a Dutch oven and cook it. So when it's almost cooked, because we're gonna do the vegetable with it, I have a head of cabbage, I have carrots, I have some peppers. I'm just gonna see what I have in the fridge. And then I saw a piece of squash, so we're gonna throw that in there at some point. You know, we don't waste anything. And this is like a piece of yam that came in a pack that I had bought. What did I buy out of there? Oh, the squash. So, alright, so now we're going to start, of course, with onion. There's plenty of garlic in there, so I don't have to put more garlic. So we're just going to do onions. And the red onion, as I said before, it doesn't last long. I use a little bit of it for the kale salad that I had for the party. And I still have some kale salad left. So when we plate, we're gonna do 2 plates again. And I'm gonna, if the rest of the salad is still good, then we're gonna plate that as well. Alright? So, the red onion, woo, calm down. You know, that is that Dutch oven. It warms up fast. It's already smoking. So how is everyone doing this morning? Last night, you know, El Valle is an area between Panama City and David, like 2.5 hours out. And one of the sisters who lives there said she felt the rumbling like we had a small earthquake, 4.6 or 4.3. And she said it woke her up. It was around 11. I was sitting down there and it just flashed on my screen. And of course, in true fashion, because I didn't look at it right then I went back to look for it. I couldn't find it. We've been having some rumbling. We had one not too long ago in Cologne. So I'm just thinking that something might happen soon. You know, it's like having mini strokes, which kind of tells you about a big one coming. But what can I do? I don't have anywhere to hide. But you know, they say the earth is always moving. I did download that app that tells you about where they're having earthquakes. But again, along the Pacific, there's always, you know, something happening. And we had one there was one in Italy, you know, a couple of days ago that caused some damage. So, and remember, they are expecting a big one along the Pacific Ocean. And we are on the Pacific line. Yeah. So, oh well. You know, we're talking about Europe is on fire. I said, you know, somebody's mad because the weather has been really acting up. All right, so we're gonna bring the turkey down. You are the one. I'm using the red onion because that's what I have, but you don't have to. You could use whatever onion you have. The thing is, I always like to start. It kind of sets your flavor when you sweat the onions. When you do that, you put it in the oil and then you cook it on low. You allow the onions to release their flavor. Okay? That's what you do with garlic too. So garlic, you have to be careful because it burns easy. Super easy. Now I'm going to bring the heat up, and then we're going to put the turkey in. I hope it doesn't take a whole lot of time, because otherwise we're going to be in trouble. So I'm going to cook the turkey, and then I'm going to cook some of the veggies, and then I'm going to put them together and put them in the oven so they can kind of get that crisp up. All right, here we go. The other one. You know, this is going to be good in like a stew. Those big old pieces. That was a big bird. And if this is your wing, I wonder what your thigh going to look like. It'll be a big mama. And that's where you worry. You're like, okay, what did they feed that animal? What did they inject them with? And you know, they don't have to inject them with anything. They put it in their food. So we are doomed eating this stuff. Alright. Now I have a lot of marinade. I want to be sure that once it kind of dries up a little bit and then I flip it, you know, like when you're doing oxtail, then I'm going to put all the marinade and let it cook, hopefully for an hour, and that should do it. Now let me see what we have to work with. What we are going to make our veggie bed, because we're not doing any grains, right? So carrots, peppers, cabbage. Let's see what else I have. And I have some leeks. We're going to put that in there as well. Oh, it's small. Peppers. I have a little bit of ratatouille left, so at some point I'm going to throw it in there. Let's see. I'm finding my peppers. What is that? Oh, okay. Yes. Here my peppers. So I don't have anything red. All right. I'm going to change burners, but I think I won't. All right. So that's a bunch of cilantro that's in here. Put a little bit of water. I have Swan Lakes on the brain. That's what we're gonna see tonight when we go to the ballet. Buenos dias. Let's see. I purchased the fresh drumsticks. Good for you. Did you go to Casa del Jamon? It is already chopped in semi-thin slices. Okay. Use it to make turkey stew, just like you start out on the stove. Good for you. I don't know. It's hard to chop that big fresh turkey. Good morning, man. Good morning. Good morning. Let's see. You said that you marinated the wing. No, I wish I had. I did not. Usually poultry, chicken, turkey, they do best overnight. But if you don't, I just did this morning maybe 10, 15 minutes. But I wish, hola, I wish I had done overnight. I wasn't thinking about that. I took the wings out of the freezer like late last night so that it could, thaw overnight. But it's best. If you want the best taste, it's always best. Good morning, Chef Brooklyn. Oh, you're so sweet. But yes, and then try when you're cooking your chicken and your turkey, add a little ginger. And let me know if you see a difference. I think they pair very well. And ginger is good for you. So if you have a way to add it to your food, just like fruits, I'm giving up fruit for now, but I like apples and pears with my protein. You just put them in the pan, and if you want, you could just caramelize them a little bit with a touch of brown sugar. Oh, it's so good. Like for the party, I caramelized some of the nuts, and it's really nice. It gives you pick because they stick together and it comes like a brittle, almost like a brittle. So let's see. Ooh. Remember, I'm just going by whatever I have in the house. And I knew I wanted to do the turkey, but yeah, I'm not doing stew today, but I am putting it on a bed of veggies, which is what we want to do. Hola, Ariana Carbon, ¿cómo estás? 11:24 in New York. What time is it in Panama? It's 10. You're 1 hour ahead. Now it's about 10:25. Yeah. It is. You're 1 hour ahead, Eastern time. Yes. Okay. Oh, let's not forget my lima bean that I have. Ooh. Yes, yes, yes. So when the turkey cooks down a little bit before I put it in the oven with the rest of the veggies, I would have added the lima bean earlier because, they take a little time to cook. So it's all about timing, right? And something like that, you could put it on a bed of whatever grain that you want, but we're not doing grain today. We're not doing grains today. So it's all about the veggies and the protein. That's what we're doing, okay? But let me get my lima beans so I don't forget it. Woo! I worked too hard for those lima beans. And I still have some salmon left from, remember that salmon last week? Oh, that was, listen. Nobody came to claim any of it. I ate it all. So I got me a mega dose of omega-3, so. You haven't had lima bean in years, probably because you can't find it. It wasn't easy to find here. I told you the first time I went to that one store that I knew I might be able to find it, they didn't have it. And I went to the manager and I'm like, and I showed him my phone, I'm like, do you have it? He's like, no. I said, you should. And next time I went, there was some there. And that was once, like 2 years ago. And the other day, because I always look to see, like the Pepperidge Farm pastry sheets. If I were to find some, I would buy it and leave it in my freezer for when I need it, because now you see it, now you don't, right? And then when I was like, oh my gosh, they had 4 bags. I took 2, so I'll restrain myself. But you know, I love cabbage. Cabbage is just, it's like broccoli and spinach. I put them in the same family. I wish I had some chayote, but I use the chayote with the ratatouille. It's all good. It's all good. As long as you're getting your veggies, I have no complaints. And I am not picky about veggies. They had some cauliflower, and I'm like, okay, let me see. It was like $7 some. I'm like, I put it back. I spent enough money with the party that I wasn't gonna. So now I'm just gonna go really, you know, kind of chill in the food department. I'm doing this for you guys today. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't be cooking. So yesterday, we had the live and we were on again for almost 3 hours. Can you believe this craziness? I don't understand why I do that. I love cabbage with everything. I absolutely love cabbage. Could you also add butter beans instead of lima beans? Yes, you could. You could. That's another thing. I don't think we find that here. I found some cannellini beans, but they're not big enough to be called butter beans. Are the butter beans the large lima beans? Definitely they wouldn't have that here. And are those baby? Oh yeah, those are baby lima beans, which is good. I used to cook those a lot at home with chicken legs, you know, chicken thighs. Try it like that with chicken thighs. You'll love it. And you cook it, you'll eat it over rice. And then you can put some broccoli in there. You know what I mean? Yeah. Butter beans are good. I know you love beans, Greta. You can't eat it anymore. Cabbage? Oh, you have like a little diverticulitis? No, cabbage doesn't bother me. It's a lot of beans does that to me. I get real gassy and it's like, it's not comfortable. So, but chickpeas, I can eat chickpeas all day and every day. Isn't that weird? So yesterday we talked about community building. Oh, turn this down. Community building, how important that is. And it's not just because you're living alone, you're living abroad. It's, we all need community, right? But I think as you get older, you tend to appreciate your community a lot more. And you're becoming more savvy in how you vet people, you know, because not everybody who comes into your life should stay or have access to you. You know that, right? Especially that people who are just going to suck the life out of you mentally and physically. People like that I stay away from, you know? Someone who always has a drama going on and you're always in like listening counselor mode. It's like, what about me? Can you do that for me? But you giving, and then you're going to be spent, right? There's some people like that. They're very needy. I'm not saying not to, you know, deal with them, but if they're close to you, they're going to suck the life out of you, okay? You see with those big green onions, I'm using all the stem, whatever you want to call that, legs, because everything that is green is good for you. And this is one of my pet peeves with the cabbage. In certain countries, they just rip the outer green leaves and they feed them to the pigs. They do that here. They did the same thing in Africa, in South Africa. I'm like, okay. And I couldn't fight it. When I say, no, don't do that. And she looked at me like, you want the pig food? The pig food? I'm like, culture, right? You got to understand that. Beans and cabbage, okay. Yeah, I understand the bean situation. So that's when Greta said, can you do 7 or 9 bean soup? I said, I can't do it because I'm not going to be able to eat it. Too many beans. Ooh. I would be in the restroom and I would be uncomfortable. And as I get older, I don't eat things that, you know, make me feel bad. because you don't have to, you have choices. Very good. Ooh. I just love greens. I do. And there we have a little bit of kale in there, but they're starting to get a little bit discolored, so I don't know. I don't think I put them in there, but I'll see. Because I'm looking for my colors. And then I had bought a couple of poblano peppers. You know those? You can stuff them too with like a rice mixture or quinoa or anything, and then you put them in the oven. Yeah. Yes. But I'm not that much of a fan of stuffed peppers, I have to say. I'm not. And again, I keep telling y'all that I cook food that I like and that I can eat. If my constitution doesn't call for it, or, it's not healthy, I'm just not gonna cook it. Butter beans. 13 bean soup. I know, Greta. Enjoy, mi amiga. It just won't be here. 13 beans. I wonder what kind of beans you're gonna get. 13 different kinds. I don't know. I would think you would stop at maybe 8 or 10. But 13? Wow. A lot of things I used to do, like I love rice, but I can't eat it right now. I can taste it, but nothing, like a whole plate of it like they do here. Here it's mucho arroz. Arroz. Whatever soup they serve you, there's always a sign of white rice with it. So I always have to say, no, gracias. Did I tell you that I read that Madagascar has the highest rice consumption per capita around the world? I think Panama is a tie or a close second. We eat mucho arroz here. And whenever the government wants to help the people, that's the number one item that they give. And that's what people look for, el arroz. I'm like, ooh, I can't. No puedo. And the poblano peppers, for some reason, are usually cheaper than bell peppers. So that is an alternative if you love the green peppers, but they don't have the variety of bell peppers, so there are no other colors. But I do love the Mexican way of cooking peppers, on the fire, taking the skin off. Oh, it's just, the chord, it just gives it a really nice flavor. Yeah. Well, Greta, you better eat some right now. When you get to Vietnam, you're not going to find that. So you gotta, you gotta enjoy some of the stuff that you love about Mexico. Yesterday I watched a video about, this is a former CEO, and he has a YouTube channel, and he did a compilation of the 8 best countries to retire in Central and Latin America. Although he included Mexico in there, Mexico is in North America, so, that's an outlier. But number 8, he said, was Honduras. Number 7 was it Guatemala? There was Guatemala, there was Nicaragua, there was, actually I was thinking he was gonna say Uruguay. He didn't have Uruguay in there, because what he looked at was the cost of living, cost of healthcare, and availability of healthcare. Panama was number 3. Number 2 was Mexico. And number 1 was El Salvador. I was like, ooh, because the safety situation, the way that Bukele, whatever his name is managed the games. Everybody says it's so safe now, and they're working on improving their health care. But Mexico was number 2 for safety and health care. Because apparently Mexico is big on medical tourism. I didn't know that. I thought Colombia was. But apparently people choose Mexico to go get their health care. No, Peru didn't make the list. And I've been to Peru. I don't think they need to make the list. If you're talking about food, yes. But if you look at the whole for retirees, healthcare, cost of living. Of course, they all had the language thing. That wasn't even an issue because that's what you're gonna. Hola, Julie, ¿cómo estás? And but I was surprised. Costa Rica was after Panama. Costa Rica was like number 4. Guatemala was on there. Guatemala, Honduras, Nicaragua, and then El Salvador. I'm like, wow. Okay. But in the comments, I love to read comments about stuff like that. People from Salvador were very happy. They're like, oh, we're just so happy to see our country. But you know what's going to happen? It's going to be the next migration. People, you know how they do. They're just going to flock over there. So I thought that was interesting. Panama was number 3. Number 2 was Mexico. And somebody said, no, you need to move Costa Rica to number 2 and move Mexico down. Because crime is this. I'm like, when you talk about crime, people talk about Costa Rica, that everything is more expensive and there is crime. But it's mostly petty crime, right? Property stuff. It's not like murders and stuff, I don't think. But I may be wrong. And of course, you have people who live in those countries chiming in saying, no, things may be a bit more expensive, but you got to account for inflation. Inflation happens everywhere. So the idea that people think that prices are going to stay the same, and we had that conversation at the party, they're saying, the lawyer fees are going up. I'm like, yeah, this is basic economics. It's called supply and demand. If you are providing a service and a lot of people show interest, prices automatically are going to go up. That's just the way business works, right? I know, Maria, I thought the same thing. And of course, I wanted to go in there and say, really? And I'm like, no, Maggie. I do that a lot. My first reaction is always to say something and then I retract. It's like, no, you don't need to engage. But it's because he has such a tight grip on the gangs and the crime. So everybody's saying that everything is beautiful and it's safe. But all Latin America is gorgeous. I don't care which country you go to. You go in to find beauty, right? And our Panama is gorgeous. You go to Mexico, I'm sure it's stunning. I'm going to make a trip soon. And wherever you go, Antigua, Guatemala was just absolutely stunning. So I think the terrain, because the Amazon and the foliage and the greenery and tropical, lots of rain and moisture, things are oof. Yes. But we talk about healthcare, yeah, they may have challenge with access. And because the guy was a CEO and he kept saying there were no JCO accredited hospital. JCO accreditation is a Joint Commission accreditation of healthcare organization. That's what JCO stands for. It's a big acronym. That those of us who work in healthcare, this is like the stamp of approval for hospital. That means your systems are in place. You have a way to monitor yourself and do root analysis. They kind of look at things like uh, unexpected death, like children missing or people falling and complication of surgery. I remember when I was in the hospital, when they came, I think it's like every 3-year accreditation, and they'll descend on your facility unexpected, like the state does, and they bring like a bunch of people. And of course, the hospital has to apply to get that review and hopefully get that stamp, because a lot of insurance and other people, because it's kind of telling consumers and other business people that they got their act together, right? Of course, it's not 100%, but they would come, and I remember they would go under the hospital bed and they would do this to see if your housekeeping is up to par, right? That you don't have a lot of dust. It was crazy. When they're in the facility, it's like stress. But, so we have one here in Panama. What's the name of the hospital? Pacifica Salud is JCO accredited. Hospital San Fernando is also JCO accredited. And if they follow the pattern of the facilities in the US or the UK or wherever, then that's a feather in their cap, right? So I thought that was interesting. And people enjoy the comparison. There's another guy who is big on doing comparison about countries. I've decided that's not something I want to do, right? Because I don't know how accurate the information is, and I don't want to influence people to tell you compare Colombia to Panama. I remember there's a lady in Colombia, and I did ask her, I said, would you be interested in doing a compare and contrast? And she wasn't. But I did do a little bit of comparison with Adelia about Mexico, right? So, I think it's helpful, but I'm not gonna spend that time doing all that kind of research. I'm not interested, so. When I was in the UK, I went to England, I don't remember when, maybe a few years back now. It was at the time when I was thinking I might want to relocate somewhere else out of the US, but I was still young, so I was looking to work as a nurse. And just like I found someone in Accra, Ghana, to do an internship at a hospital, I found a nurse in the UK who was doing a training class for foreign trained nurses who wanted to practice in the UK. And it was a 3-week intensive, 8-hour day, 5 days a week kind of training, and learned a lot about the NHS system in the UK, how it works. And you hear so many things. I remember the taxi drivers would give me feedback. Oh no, it's terrible. Oh, I'm like, listen, it's not that great where I come from either. So, and then at the end, you had to do a presentation comparing systems. So I decided to compare the US system with the UK system. And of course, there were areas where they excel, like managing cancer and diabetes. They did better. And, the US typically doesn't have such great outcome compared to the money that they spend per capita on people. And of course, when you read about the universal health care that is prominent in most of Europe, right? And that people have access, whereas in the US, people don't have access. There is no preventative care. The poor, they don't have access, and they don't enter the system until they have an emergency. And that doesn't bode well for you in terms of how people live better with better care. No. So I did that presentation, and I remember at the end of it, the lady was like, oh Maggie, that was so good. She said, why don't you consider coming over? She said, I would help you. But when I went with she was probably then 15 or 16. I went with my daughter. It was funny. I was in class for 8 hours. I gave Raphael I bought an international phone. I remember this little flip phone, old as dirt, right? And we had a plan. So I gave her the phone and I was in class and that girl was roaming the streets. Oh my God. The things that I did, I wouldn't do that now. You know, with human trafficking and stuff. Even though that probably was going on, but it wasn't like in your face like that. So I said, well, my daughter is still in high school. I don't think the time is right for me to do that. I didn't do it. But I was in Manchester, and I wasn't crazy about it. I was like, no. Being there for 3 weeks is one thing, but living there was going to be a whole different ballgame. So, but I love learning about stuff like that. I love to tell my Salvadorian amigos, my mechanic from there is from there, and he's always telling me to come for a visit. Yeah, you should. I mean, you know, I was talking to someone this week, and I said, I have been wanting to do one last overseas trip and do like an Asian tour. I wanted to go to China and South Korea, and Vietnam and Singapore. But then I said, I don't know. I think I'm rethinking that. Because I've read watched some videos of people who've been there, and some people were not treated nicely. So I'm like, you know, I'm too old to be going anywhere where I have to worry about that. I mean, it can still happen, right? But if I know it's the pattern, somebody asked me yesterday, would you go to Uruguay? I'm not curious about it, so I don't see any reason I need to go. But I probably would visit El Salvador or Nicaragua. I don't know about Honduras. There was a lady who chimed in the chat. There's a Wotan place that a lot of expats, you know, are at. She said she's been there for years. So, if you embrace the simple life, you learn the language, and you lay low, you probably be okay, wherever you go. That's why I keep my nose to the ground. I don't get involved in a lot of things. I just don't want to attract attention to myself. Of course, being on YouTube doesn't help, but I can't help that. Alright. I'm putting a lot of carrots just because I love carrots. And I want to put the wings in the oven because I want that nice color. Alright. That's a lot of carrots. So I hope your time there is without incident, Greta. And then I watched another video yesterday where this, you know, I'm gonna put that onion in my mix just because if it stays another day, it's gonna go bad. So I'm gonna put the rest of that red onion in there. And because when I visit Mexico, I want to visit Querétaro, Mexico City, and San Miguel de Allende. And then I watched a couple of videos about San Miguel de Allende. And then it's like another one of those, the marketing has gotten out of hand. And they talk about the demographics of people who have kind of descended upon the area. And they're not my demographics. So I think it will be interesting just to walk around. And of course, you guys know I go a lot by vibration and how I feel in a place. It'll be interesting to see how I feel as I walk. But they say Mexico City is just humongous. It might be a bit overwhelming, but the people, the sisters who live there, absolutely love it. And they wouldn't consider living anywhere else in Mexico. I think I want to see the mountains and yeah. Yeah. Okay, let's just take a peek at these wings. Oh, oh, oh. Because you know, it's poultry. I can't imagine that it would take forever to cook. I'm thinking San Miguel de Allende might remind me of Boquete, right? Like Ajijic, right? Ajijic, and there's another name for the place that is closer to that area. What's another, there's Lake Chapala? Yeah, Lake Chapala. I was gonna ask Greta to chime in, but it's Lake Chapala, Ajijic, yeah. They attract a certain demographic. Don't look like us. Like a lot of Canadians and Europeans, I guess. Good. This is where you can kind of play around with your taste a little bit. There's a little salt. So we're gonna finish our veggies. I'm gonna cook them on the other burner, and then when they're ready, I think see about 30 minutes should be okay. Yes. All right. So now let's do the cabbage, repollo, el repollo. See, I still don't see where I put that. The remote. Oh my gosh. I remember the spinach in South Africa. They would come in these bunches with that big. I was like, whoa. I love them. They have something in South Africa called acha. It's like, what would you call that? They take all these vegetables and they put, there was a lot of oil in it. But it was so good. I loved it. And they had like a chutney. They had like a mango one that was amazing. Alright. We're gonna need garlic and onion. Gonna rinse that. And I have a jalapeno right here. Ooh, this is hot. So I looked in my closet, and I'm not happy with the choices that I have to wear tonight. I'm like, maybe I'll run to the mall after I cook and see if I can find something. And who knows, I may even have time to do my nails while I'm there. Yesterday, I just wasn't in the mood to do anything. I wasn't moving at all. That's what I do. Lima bean, don't let me forget the lima bean. Alright. So, let's see, what should I use? Okay, I'm going to use that pan that is a little bit deep, but it heats up fast. That way, it'll cook faster, and I think it's big enough to hold because the veggies are going to go down. And also, when the turkey is almost done, I'm going to add these things in because I'm afraid if I just put them in the oven, they won't cook. So I'm going to put them at the same time I put the lima bean. Ooh, and I have some onion. Excellent. All right, let's rinse the veggies. Okay. All right, I need garlic. When I was cooking on Friday, oh, I had Sarah Brightman on. Ooh, I was a happy camper. I just love her old music. I don't like the thing she's doing now. She went on a RM kind of thing, that Middle Eastern, and I was like, I don't know what that is, but that girl had a voice on her. Woo! No Maggie, that's not what you're supposed to do. Alright. Put the onions. my extra virgin olive oil. Like I said, when you're buying, make sure you get extra virgin, okay? And not plain olive oil. This is the first pass. You get the best part of the olives. And of course the veggies don't need a lot of spices because they're gonna absorb the taste of the wings. That's what we're banking on. Lord, let me find this remote. Wow. Maggie, Maggie. I retraced my steps. I went everywhere. I have a sister who was talking to her. She said she also loses a lot of things. And of course the veggies, you gotta be careful because they're gonna render a lot of water. And I don't want them to be wet, not too wet. So that's gonna be an interesting challenge. You're sweating the onions. Sweating the onion. You know this little thing here? I'm gonna throw it away. I had some chickpeas cooking in this thing. It would not boil. I don't know if it's the aluminum is too thick, and I'm like, oh no girl, I don't have time to play with you. I am not that patient a person. I love my other little pan, but this one, that's a no bueno. Show me the way. Nice. Ooh. And I'm gonna add a bit of my jalapeno, my favorite thing in the world. I just love it so much. But you don't have to put that in there if you're not into jalapenos, okay? Remember. Put a little bit of spices. ¿Qué pasó aquí? You know, my sister Julie, she's watching. She was looking to find a grinder for me. We can't find coffee grinders anymore. They have these electronic things. And I'm like, nah, I kind of like the grinding. All right, ooh, I can smell the heat. I think I'm out of veggie broth too. All right. And I think one thing, now when you are doing veggies, it's always good to just take them out of the bag like that, because, and not just dump it in there, because you see, I can feel some dirt at the bottom. So when you're doing veggies, especially if you have some leeks in there, make sure you do that. Because if you just dump it in there, you're gonna dump the dirt in there as well, huh? Little tip of the trade. So if I want to add a little liquid, did you guys see I had to get another one of these? My other one kicked the bucket. I bought that one online at Dude Center, and then I just went to the store and picked it up. Well, they could have delivered it, but they would have charged me $5.99. It's like, oh, no, no, no. My feet still work. We'll go there and get it. All right. There we go. So we're going to be squeezing a little bit of tomato paste into our wings. Alitas. What you call those? Oh, even though I saw alitos. Oh, I think the ito is small. Yes, I remember seeing that on the package. It says something different. Let me see if I can still see the package. Oh, there it is. You see the things I do for you guys. Alas. Alas. Alas is the regular size. Alitas is the small. So the chicken wings are alitas. The turkey wings are alas. That makes total sense. As you teach Spanish, you say, mamita, papito. That means it's a term of endearment, and it's like small, darling. So, alas and alitas. Wow, I'm glad I remembered. Let's see what I missed. Simplicity. Okay, Greta said, yes, I intend it to be. I have notified every person. Good. Excuse me. I go get food poisoning. Where? In Vietnam? Whoa, I will be cooking mostly my own food. Please do. And fruit to purchase. And the fruit, make sure you wash them really good, because on that skin, that's where you're gonna get sick. Preparing myself on, oh. And don't eat on the side of the road. They have a lot of nighttime market and stuff, so stay away. San Miguel is nice, and so is Querétaro. Okay, good. Mexico City has water problems. I have 2 friends who live in Lake Chapala who has moved because it's extremely slow. What's extremely slow? The internet? What is slow, Greta? And look, Chapala and Aihik are just like retirement hubs. Right? Alright, let's check. Oh, okay. It's starting to... okay. I better get a move on. On the wings. Yep. It's all about timeliness. You gotta time everything. Okay. Ooh. Alright, alright. So the turkey, see, ouch. Ooh. That hurt. The turkey did not take a long time to cook. 30 minutes, right? Alright. We have to keep an eye out. Alright, I'm gonna squeeze some tomato paste. Eso. And pour my lima beans in. Whew. I think that's enough. Don't think we need to put the whole thing in there. Okay. And very good. Vamos para la calle. Alright, you gotta stay whole now. Don't break on me. Alright, and then we're gonna put our two little things here that we're not gonna waste. Right? Remember, I don't like to waste anything. Whatever is in the fridge, I'm gonna find a way to use it. Sometimes I don't make it for the herbs, but everything else, turn this down a bit. We're gonna put it in here. And then I might move that off the burner and put it on the other side to just make sure I get my vegetable cooked. Put it on the fast side. Yeah, why should we lose? We're not losing anything. Oh, that looks so good. Doesn't that look good? Look at that. Now, I remember when I was in Orlando, there was a type of chicken. Maybe it was free range. They were not frozen. And then you can buy them and they would take a long time to cook. But boy, the flavor was so good. I think I'm gonna leave those because they look like they're gonna cook really fast. And I don't want them to disappear in here. All right, let's switch burners. Remember, you're in the lab. You have to constantly be assessing and reassessing. Bring this here. Looks like it's time to do the reset. Excelente. And my friend who did the trivia about Morocco, she brought me cardamom from Morocco. Cardamom. I'm so excited. This is such a yummy spice. And I think you could also put it, oh, it smells amazing. And then another sister who is my neighbor here, she had like prizes. She had the question, and then when the sisters responded, they would win. They had a rose soap, they had lavender soap, they had mixed nuts, they had chai, like the real tea, whatever, to make the mix. They had chai, and they had lavender leaves or whatever. I mean, she bought a bunch of stuff, and then she said, "This is for you." And I'm like, "Oh," and she said, "I told you what, I asked you what you want me to bring, and you didn't respond." I'm like, "I didn't know. I've never been to Morocco. I mean, couscous I can get here. You know, I don't need to bring me couscous, but I like the things that I have a hard time finding. Like Julie, who's watching right now. Julie is my Spanish student from California, and she's here in Panama. She bought me some stuff, you know, like paint brushes to clean my big straw. Believe it or not, I couldn't find that here, and I forgot. I didn't even look at the bag yet, Julie. Can you believe that? And another sister, she came and I said, "Can you bring me a comet?" You guys may think it's a big deal. It's a big deal to me because they only have Ajax here. And I'm not an Ajax girl. I am a Comet girl. So I have been. And then when my nephew was coming, I said, "Can you bring me some good toothbrushes?" Because they only have soft here. And I like medium. So he bought them on Amazon. And another girl from California came. I said, "Can you bring me some good deodorant?" So she brought me the Dove deodorant. So she bought me like several. She said, "You should be good for a couple of years." I am so spoiled, you know. Whenever I say something, they say, "I heard you say you have a hard time finding that." Oh, Julie said she found a phyllo because I've been wanting to make the gumbo, but can't find phyllo here in Panama. Let me go see. I haven't looked at the bag yet. Julie, it's heavy. See? Oh, Julie bought something fancy. Look at that. The brushes. I was just thinking of the little ones. Well, I guess in California they're fancier, huh? Julie. Ooh. Another comment. Ah! And one sister bought me a little spice grinder. She said, "I heard you say you need a spice grinder." And I was like, "Yes." And she said, "This is for you." I'm like, "Oh my gosh." So, yes, she bought me a spice grinder. And I'm like, "Oh, you guys are so lovely." Let's see, what else Julie brought? Oh, she bought even more brushes. Look at that, cleaning brushes. Wow. This one, now this one would be good if we can straighten out the metal. Oh, these are fancy, Julie. What else did you bring? Oh, this is like I have not even looked at what you brought. Oh my God. Gumbo filet. She found it. Wow. Wow, we should have bought more than one, Julie. Herbe de Provence, another one. Mwah. Yes. Thank you. I have cardamom, phyllo, herbe de Provence. Julie bought 2 of these. So I have 3. I have 3 comments. So I should be good for the next couple of years. I don't know about you. I think it works better, like in the toilet bowl. It takes away stain. I'm a comic girl. Wow. 3 comments. You see? Like when the sister went to the store and she said, "I got something for you." And she brought me 3 1-pounder of my favorite butter. I'm like, ah! Stuff like that, talk to me. Yes. Wow. Julie brought me cornmeal. Julie, that should have taken space in your suitcase. Oh, naturally fresh. This is hard to find here. The consistency is usually not what I'm used to. So let's see. Harina de maíz. Harina means usually flour. So let's see. That's a show and tell, right? And then all these, once I open them, they have to go in the fridge. I think that's all right, because if I'm cooking fish, I don't use those like to make porridge or anything like that. But when I'm cooking fish, I mix it with like plain breadcrumb to make the crust, right? So that my fish has a little crust on it, and that's usually good. Plain breadcrumbs or panko, if I don't have breadcrumbs, and then a little bit of cornmeal, and then you put a little season, and then you just lightly dip the fish in and then put it in the pan. It's yummy. Thank you, Julie. Yes, look at that. The ones here, I don't know, they look kind of white, and I think they make, they make shishami with it, or they make the tortillas. They make the corn tortillas with them here, because you know, a lot of corn products here. That is part of the indigenous culture. When I was in, and thank you, Julie, for the phyllo. When you're coming back, bring more than one. And because, you know, we couldn't find that at Walmart. I don't know where she found it, but thank you so much. So yeah, when I was, oh, there's more. When I was, oh, she bought the tongues. I was struggling to find tongues. You know, I only have the one. Oh, thank you, Julie. Oh, that looks really good. Everyday living. I'm set. Tell you, I'm a happy girl. I am. Ooh. Excellent, Julie. Wow. No. We gotta do something, Julie. All right. So, take that. You know, it's funny. I find myself saving bags and then I use them as stretch liners. Where I remember years ago, I used to make fun of the little British lady I was watching because she liked to recycle everything. Guess who's doing that now too? You know, things happen as you get old. All right, let's just cook for another 5-10 minutes, and then we're gonna transfer everything into a pan. Oh boy, let me find a pan. And I have some leftover ratatouille. We're gonna put that in there as well. Nothing goes to waste in this household. Nothing, not if I can help it. I mean, sometimes I can't. If something spoils, it spoils. But I try. I don't want to live with guilt, because my mother would say, do you know how many starving children there are? I think this would work. It's a little big, but I think it's gonna give the vegetables room to expand so they can cook faster. So I'm gonna turn the oven on so my oven is nice and hot when I'm ready for it. Excellent. Woohoo! So Julie, if it was you, you don't eat meat, but you would just put all your veggies in here, but you'd have to figure out how to season it. Because in the ratatouille, what I did, I made homemade marinara, and I put that in between, so it just kind of brought everything together. And I used the marinara, I use a little bit of white wine. This is a secret that we use. It just elevate the taste of the marinara. It's not just plain tomato sauce, right? And lots of basil. And then you put that in with your veggies. Of course, with the veggies, I had used some of the herb oil, right? Got all the herbs in it, and garlic, and red pepper flakes, and what else? Some jalapeno for me. You don't have to do that if you don't like it. But I kind of like a little bit of kick with everything that I cook. But that kind of helps to flavor the veggies. But for vegans and vegetarians who don't want to eat meat, seasoning becomes a challenge because I don't know. I don't know how you guys season. Yep, that's good. And you know the carrots, they just take their time. It's not like they take a long time, but you don't want them overcooked either. See, the cabbage is already doing its thing. So this is perfect. It's gonna dry up. So we can start putting our ooh, it smells so good. The turkey wings. I can imagine if you were to add a bunch of beans in here, you know, I would, that's how, like I said, the way I used to cook a lot of chicken thighs, and I cook the chicken and then I add the peas in there, and it's game changer, right? So, ooh, nice. Show me the way. Oh, yep, my turkey wing kept its shape. That's perfect. Because I needed to decorate when I set my plate. Gracias. So I'm gonna cover it in the beginning, but I'm gonna put at 450. We're gonna cover it, and then, now you know, if I wasn't on TV, I would snack on this little tip here. It's got some collagen in it. Ooh. I think we got it at the right. Because you want to be sure, you know, it's cooked. See? You want it to be cooked, but not overcooked. And remember, your poultry, the magic temperature is 165 Fahrenheit. That's why when you cook chicken whole, use that thermometer. Because you don't want to be eating uncooked chicken. That is a no bueno. Excellent. Oh, I haven't even tasted to see if they taste right. That's good. It's got a little kick for me because remember I have the jalapeno in there, which is exactly what I want. I don't want the veggies to cover the turkey because I want the color, the caramelization of the heat on the turkey legs. I wonder if my sister would want, well anyway, last time I tried to offer her something, she turned me down. You know, as long as I've been cooking, I haven't had any major burns for which I'm grateful, because, I mean, it's easy to do, to burn yourself, right? All right, so we still have our beans and squash. Ooh, yes. And I don't want a lot of liquid in this, okay? That's just me. It's not a stew. Wow. It's mucho. That's one thing about this Dutch oven. Things like to stick to the bottom. So if you were to cook something else like rice or whatever, this here is gold. Full of flavor. Alright. Here we go. So we're going to put all that in the oven. Whew. And in the last 5 minutes, we're going to uncover. Alright, it was just exactly the right side. Alright, ladies, so put that in the sink. So Friday after the party, you know, I sat down, I watched my little show, and I was like, oh, I don't feel like doing it, but I just couldn't leave everything, you know, so I washed all the dishes, but I didn't do the floors and wet surfaces. At least I did all that. And in the morning yesterday, I had the day off from teaching because my 1 p.m. class, she didn't have internet. So Greta, I ended up not teaching at all for that whole day. So you know I played hooky. I didn't do a thing. I cleaned the floor. Oh, it felt so good. Then I was walking. Ooh, I forgot these. I was walking barefoot the whole. You know, they say walking barefoot is good for you. Ooh, and here is my ratatouille. What is going on, Maggie? You forgot some stuff. Oh, yes. We are not gonna waste anything. Look at the size of this thing. Oh my gosh. So I'm going to put the ratatouille on top of them so they would get some flavor. How about that? Everything has a purpose, right? So it's going to flavor the yam. That's yummy, which is what we put in our soup here. El sancocho, not plantain. like they do in Jamaica. Okay. Look at this. That's a lot of food. Oh my gosh. Wow. So that means I better fast for the rest of the week. Alright. So I'm trying to see what we are going to plate, what we're going to use to plate our veggies with our turkey wings. And Maria, I can see exactly how wonderful those turkey wings would be in a stew, and also Greta in your beans. So this is something when you get, if you get homesick, if you could find, I don't know if you would find turkey over there. You may have problems. Unless you want to go, you go to a store that caters to expats. Because I think turkey wings is not something that a lot of gringo would be looking for. I may be wrong. If they're from the South, they might. But those turkey, the turkey legs are humongous. You're welcome. The file is in the the filet in the section where you purchase fresh seafood. Oh, that makes sense. For the gumbo. Okay. I can see in Orlando, we had a store called Restaurant Depot, and they have a big fish section, and then you can buy crabs, you know, like in little can, and all kinds of, yes, that makes sense. Where you can find, you know, crab claws and stuff like that. It makes sense. I know. Oh, you like Comet too, but now I'm going to take a picture like this. My children have come home. You know, I'm crazy like that. Let's see, where am I going to put them? It's kind of crowded underneath the sink. You can only find Ajax here. Next up, you know, like I said, you know, I didn't ask them to bring me soap, but I had toothbrushes, deodorant. It took me a while to find like a little foundation because I tend to have like dark spots some places, and I like to spot treat. Or it took me a long time to find something that would kind of work with my skin. Well, I used to buy the Clinique at home. They don't have a Clinique brand here. I don't think I've seen them at the store. And of course, I don't go to the stores that kind of look like Neiman Marcus, and I don't go into the stores, so maybe they're there and I just don't see them. But I found a combination of two that kind of work, and then I just use my my brush to blend it in, and then I'm good. The lipstick is also a challenge because I like to wear mostly lip gloss but colored, so that's proven a little bit challenging. But you know, I'm not that crazy about lipstick. Anyway, I love to wear I like my lips to be soft. And then when you get the lip gloss, it doesn't come, you know how you have the little roll on that you used to just put, I love that part. They don't have that. You're gonna have to get one, you gotta squeeze it up like a toothpaste for it to come to the top. And then it's like, okay, whatever, right? What else? You know about the saga about body wash, but I found Irish Spring. Wasn't my favorite soap in the state, but you know, they have the liquid, so I use that. What else? We talk about the shoes, you know, depending on your shoe size. If you're coming and you wear like a 9 and up, bring your shoes, bring your sandals, because you're not going to find your size easy because people don't have such uh, shoe size. When I first came, I was challenged with the little booty socks because they were small, but I was able to find those like 9 to 11 that, you know, I could wear. And shoes is, just, you know, I told you about shoes. Tennis shoes, for me, I needed to find tennis shoes that were a little bit pointy in the front because the ones here are just straight, and then my toes will be like that. I have like 2 or 3 pairs here that I don't wear because it's like I am not going to be walking around in pain. That is no bueno. That ship has sailed. We don't do that anymore. What else? They have, I was able to find this orange cleaner that I used to get. Actually, I saw it one time. I bought it. I went back. I don't see it anymore. This is what you can put in your water to clean the floors. They pull up a lot of that grime, or you could use it for surfaces. And I was able to find Murphy's oil. I was so happy. I'm a Murphy's oil person. I love that smell in the house. The other thing that they have Clorox. The other thing that I see, you know, if you see like a little fly or something and then they have the spray, it doesn't do anything. You know, I spray the little gecko when I see it, nothing. So next time somebody's coming, I'm going to say, bring me a Raid, a real Raid, right? Because the one that they have here is not as strong. They do have Tide detergents, even though I'm not using that. They have a lot of local brands of powdered detergent. Let's see. I went home and was looking for an electric broom for the floor because we have a lot of tiles. And they didn't have the one that I'm used to, so I got another one and it's not working. So we're using the broom, which is not ideal because sometimes you just want to run the electric broom, right? Can't find that here. So you make do. You make do. What else? I know I told people to bring their kitchen supplies. You know, if you have good knives, bring your knives. These knives here, bring your knives. You know, like this whisk, I had a hard time finding a good whisk, but this one is from my cooking class set, and it is the best whisk. The other ones, they're kind of flimsy, they move. I'm like, oh my gosh. Yeah. Nothing, anything to do with olive oil, you don't have to worry about it because of the influence of Spain and Italy. We have really good oil here, good olives and capers, stuff like that, tomatoes, paste. Not our brand of tomato products. Hunt's, the Hunt brand is it's expensive. I told you cheeses are expensive. If you want the local cheese, Queso Blanco, yeah, that's very affordable. But if you go to Reba Smith, that store that caters to international people, you find a lot of things there that you're not gonna find. You know, the video I did about the 2 stores, certain things you're not gonna find. You're not gonna look for butter from Switzerland in a place like that. No, they cater to the local people, and they have local brands of butter and everything else, and cheese. So, yeah. Lots of rice. But you can even find expensive, but like jasmine rice is expensive. Arborio rice if you want to make sushi. Um, you know how in the States you could go to like an Asian store and you get big bags of rice from Thailand and other places? I don't see all that, but we do have a Chinatown. So if you were to go to stores in those areas, you might be able to find them. Like I said, I was looking for kimchi. I like kimchi. Fermented vegetables, apparently it's good for your gut. And I see people make it, and I'm like, well, I need to learn. I'm like, oh, that's just a lot of work. You got to put things in between the leaves, and I'm like, no. So this girl who did my nails one time, she's like, oh, they have the best kimchi at that restaurant. The restaurant uses their own, like a little Chinese restaurant, uses their own recipe, and you can buy the kimchi per pound. And I went, oh, let me try it. I got one. It was so salty. I was like, I can't do it. So I'm going to let that fermented. Maybe I'll take some cabbage and put it in a jar and put some vinegar. I don't know if it's ferment. That would be pickled. I don't know how you ferment. I haven't looked into any of that. But what else do I struggle with? The deodorant we got. Skincare, I don't use any particular skincare product. Like I said, there is one little hyaluronic acid thing that I put around on my face at night. That's the only thing I use. And my soap, I just use whatever soap. So I don't have a skincare routine. So I don't spend money on that. I think if I went to go home, I would pile up on the lipstick, the lip gloss. Now I don't have hair to worry about. Yeah, I think I would do it. They do have Febreze, you know, if you want some air freshener, they do have that. And I even seen some of the sachets, you know, the sachets you put in your closet, in your drawer. Yeah, I've seen some of those. They don't have, what is that store that I used to go in there and I can't even breathe? Kirkland? Oh my gosh. I would walk in there and I'm like, it's just so strong. We don't have Kirkland here, of course. No Walmart, which we don't really need a Walmart here. We don't have, we have the equivalent of CVS and what's the other one? Walgreens. We have Abroad-SWRA, and a lot of the pharmacies kind of act. Abroad-SWRA is like a Target, and it's got its own pharmacy, and they have all kind of houseware. The only thing they don't sell are clothing. I don't think I've seen clothing. Maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm not saying it right, but they do have a lot of perfume and skincare stuff, and they have the pharmacy, little supplements, toys, if I remember. But that's a very popular store here, Abroad-SWRA. So you find them, you know, it's a chain. And then you have all the different pharmacies that carry skincare stuff. So there's Metro Plus, there is Pharma Value, and they have all kind of different pharmacies here. And remember, with pharmacies, you can go in there and buy your medication as long as you don't even give to give me a prescription. The doctor may or may not give you a prescription, but only certain medications need prescriptions. Like if you are buying antibiotics or anything for pain, control substances. And things like if you want the injection, you know, to lose weight, those kind of medication will probably need a prescription. I don't know about, somebody asked me about mental health services yesterday, and I need to look into that because I could not answer that intelligently. And somebody said she was looking for doctors, and there was a list of psychologists and psychiatrists. I'm sure, I've seen psychiatrists with some of the big clinics. But psychologists, where they do counseling, I'm pretty sure they do, okay? A weekend trip back to the U.S.? No, it's not in the plan for anytime soon. I think my next trip is going to be either to Mexico or to Guyana. I want to go to Guyana. But, all right, I'm going to take the foil off of this. Hot, hot, hot. Looking good. But anyway, so I think, we kind of make do. So as I said, I don't see the chicken that is free range like they used to have in the Jamaican restaurant. And I'm pretty sure if I were to go to a place like Rio Abajo is in the north side of the city here, and they have a heavy Jamaican population. People go there to eat, oxtail and rice and peas and stuff like that in the city. But in the city now, we have had several Jamaican restaurants just pop up. El Caribe was the first one in El Cangrejo. Then there was two in El Carmen, and then they have two in San Francisco. And then the other day I was in El Cangrejo, I saw another one, kind of very casual. There is a new Haitian restaurant that's open in El Cangrejo. I haven't checked it out yet. But if you're looking for things that are islandish, I'm sure they may have some stores where you can find them. Or go to Colon, right? Colon has a heavy Caribbean influence. Now, there's a guy called Michael Chen. He's really doing a lot of work to try to bring Colon out of whatever has been plaguing that poor area. Lack of job and gang activity and killings and stuff like that. So he's trying to portray the positive side of Cologne. And a lot of the things that he's doing is going into mom and pop, restaurants. Like the other day he went to a restaurant, he said they've been there for 50 some years. And they make these egg sandwiches. And I want to go and visit, but I'm kind of scared because the food is super unhealthy. Oh my God, and the size. They say everything is big in Texas. Well, we talk about food, everything is big in Cologne. I mean, they give you a lot of food. And everything is fried and mixing. The other day they were showing like a stuffed up tortilla with cheese and green ground beef. And I'm like, I can't eat those things. So they have places that would sell the fish. I would try the fish and other things. And they have some really nice soups. So I do want to go there and see some of those places. But like what you've heard about Cologne, I mean, I don't want to be there at night, definitely. But I don't think it's going to be, I think I enjoy myself. I go to Albuquerque and take the bus. It takes about an hour, 15 hours and 20 minutes to get to Cologne. Guyana is good, a bit expensive. Oh, really? Okay, I know Barbados is considered expensive. But Guyana, it's a melting pot apparently, and also Suriname. I'd like to go to Suriname, those places where they have multiple cultures co-living together in harmony. We need a lot of that. You don't want to go places where they're going to look at you and ask you what you're doing here and that kind of thing. That's why I'm deciding maybe I'm not doing the Asian tour. I mean, I just don't have the energy to deal with that. This young girl said she was in South Korea and this old man spat on her. I was like, oh, that's cray-cray. You might forget where you are and who you are and react and end up in jail or something, right? That's why people are going to Dubai, whatever. I'm like, I don't have any interest in going there. Someone asked me, Would you go to Uruguay? I'm not curious about Uruguay, so it's not on my list. Although I love Chile. I've been to Chile, way further south. I love Chile. I would go back to Chile for a visit. But they have lots of earthquakes, and I don't do earthquakes. So I'm like, yeah. And in Guyana, I've been looking at Guyana. I'm like, oh, maybe in January. I like to travel between December and May. And I'm like, maybe I'll go to Guyana because they're saying they have they have this cute waterfall, and you have to take a ferry to go from one area because they have some islands, I guess. And then the other day, the ferry capsized and 20-some people died. I'm like, I don't know. No, I'm scared. And of course, you never die before your time. When it's your time, right? But I know, I don't like to fly when it's, storming, like in hurricane season. Okay. I don't know if I want to maybe brush my turkey wings with a little bit of a glaze. You know what? I could do that. That is not against the rule. Oh, remember, I got me a little grill to get grill marked. I got this this is the first thing that was delivered from Amazon, the very first thing I ever ordered. And then yesterday I did get an email to say that my microphone was delivered. So probably I'll get an email from the company here. They're going to bring it to me. All right, let's do a little glaze for my that's a big burner, for my turkey wings so they can just look snazzy. So it's a little butter, a little bit of soy sauce, and a little bit of honey. That's all. Mantequilla, butter. Miel. We say miel in French also for honey. So Julie, what do they use instead of butter? If you want like a butter taste, what do vegan use? Because like nutritional yeast and other things, I've never used any of this stuff. I think nutritional yeast gives you protein. I'm very ignorant about veganism. I just know they don't eat dairy and meat. I wonder how that doctor is doing. She was a big vegan doctor, and she developed lung cancer. It needs to thicken. Wanted to go to Thailand, but a long travel. I know, that's exactly what I said. Hola, auntie. Yeah, there's a sister who just left maybe a couple of weeks ago with her mom, and she's been posting some fabulous kind of food. The food is amazing. But the trip, I don't think I could survive 3 airplane. Well, I did that once coming from Rwanda. It was 4 plane changes. I'm like, not doing that anymore. Because from Johannesburg to the DMV area was 14 hours. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Alright, so this is this little glaze. I'm just gonna glaze my chicken wings so that they come out popping. Woo. Get my facial. Ooh. Yes, Maggie. You know, I think of these things as I'm just sitting here. Oof. Yes. So, alright. We're probably ready to plate. Alright. Oof. Oof. You know how you open the oven and then your chain is hurting. I always wonder why it's so expensive traveling throughout Africa. Yes, even the Africans themselves just complain about that. It makes no sense. I mean, the barriers that were, set for us, because they didn't have all those. They just purposely, I think this is a good one. I can't buy any more plates. And I have some of my kale salad left. So I'm trying to see if I can use some of that. And it's not just the cost of traveling within Africa, but some Africans, when they get from one country to another, sometimes they're not treated very nicely. Look what's happening in South Africa. This guy who is a white South African, he said, you don't have xenophobia in South Africa, you have African phobia. I'm like, what is that? The way they try, I don't know what happened because they had a deadline that they all had to leave. I mean, it's crazy, isn't it? And as I said, I don't need to have an opinion about something, but it's just weird. Once you start fighting each other, we're doomed. We have enough going on, but when you're saying, you look at me and you say, they say, but you're not African. They'll tell you that. You're not African. You can be black, but you're not African. I'm like, oh, whatever. I don't want to get into that. I think I'm getting into a place in life that I just don't want to argue with people about anything. I'm not. You have your opinion, I'm like, okay. I'm good at acknowledging, but I'm not going to fight to try to change your mind about anything. No. No. Alright, let's see how my salad is looking. This was some of the sisters, when they come here after my party, everybody leaves with a plate, okay? If you don't have a plate, Maggie, do you have anything? I have some containers. Everybody takes food home. So I cook a lot of fish, and they love the fish. It looks pretty decent. Okay. All right. So I need to get it in the one with the little Yeah. Okay. So I think we can take this turkey out. It is time. Ooh. It smells amazing, y'all. Ugh, ugh. Look at that. Look at this. So if you cook this for, like on a Sunday, you don't have to cook for the rest of the week. Right? Look at that. This is the lima bean. I have ratatouille with the nyame. And then this is the cabbage and the rest. And that little, what do they call that? I just did it, and the name, glaze, that I put on the turkey. So that when I put the turkey wings like that, then it's gonna be nice and, all right. I have some parsley. I have fresh mint. Ooh, I'm gonna make tea. Yes. Okay, I'm gonna use parsley, and then I have cilantro. Okay. This is where the creativity comes in. Ooh, 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 ooh. All right, Maggie, what are you gonna do now? A ver, ¿qué vamos a hacer? Show me the way. You see what I say? Cooking makes me happy. All right. ¿Qué hacemos? All right. And this is the one I'm going to use with the leftover turkey kale salad. Now remember. Now the good thing about kale is that it holds itself. It doesn't. I can see if you're watching. Can you see that? Right over here. There we go. It doesn't, like lettuce fall. It just stays. So that's a good thing about kale salad. They loved it. Come on. Ooh. Okay. All right. It's telling me your device is going to be locked. Good thing I have more than one phone. You're not the boss of me. You're telling me you're going to lock my phone. I got more than one. Go ahead, make my day. Okay. Do you remember Clint Eastwood? Go ahead, make my day. I grew up with that kind of stuff, and I love Clint Eastwood. And as far as I know, he's a good human. I don't know. I haven't heard anything bad. If he doesn't like people like us, I don't know. But he's one of those, he's really old now. And he was still directing movies. Look at that. The salad still stayed nice and fresh. Wow. It was in the bag. And in there I had like roasted potatoes and roasted squash. Looks yummy. Now, this is a very vegan type of salad. And I also had cucumbers and olives, roasted potatoes, and I think here I can take a little bit of the squash and add. This is what you say, do your thing, Maggie, do your thing. All right, so that's good. And the cucumbers. And I bought those seedless cucumbers. I guess it's not good that they don't have seeds, but I wasn't thinking about that at the time. Wow, okay. And then, that looks pretty, doesn't it? And then, I still have a little bit of feta. Now, I'm not vegan. Of course, if you're vegan, close your eyes, Julie. This one has some spices, the feta. One of the sisters had signed up to bring it. She bought a plain one, which we used. This one is feta crumble Mediterranean herbs. Can't go wrong with that. Right? Even if you're vegan. Ooh, that looks so pretty. That looks pretty. Okay, all right. That tastes pretty good. Okay, so now, didn't I just buy? Oh, okay. So these we go into the drumsticks or whatever you want. Not the drumstick. I don't know what those are. Alice? Maybe we're gonna use one and put it on top of. Wow. And then what you want to do is to take a little bit of the gravy and just, because you don't want anything to be dry. Ooh. Oh. Yes. So I have some dill. I'm going to use dill to decorate the top. Okay, so that's one plate with our salad. Isn't that pretty? Yes. All right. Now, we're gonna use, I think I'm gonna do cabbage, lima beans, and then we could even do 3 plates with this, because we get to play today. And you know what I'm going to be looking for? I'm going to be looking for a mold. Because this is not grained. I can't use a little thing and then flip it. It's not going to hold. But if you had a mold, like a round mold, you can put the mold down and put the stuff in there so it gives you a nice round shape. Oh, I think there's a place at Albrook where they sell baking supplies. I used to have a store like that in Orlando. that I would go get stuff like that. So gotta know where to find new stuff. Like here, we know where to go to get certain things. Yeah, and I went crazy on the carrots. Lima beans. Ooh, yeah. So now what I want to play with, let me see, did this cook? Okay. All right. Ratatouille. Yummy. Okay. And some of the ratatouille. Ooh-wee. Okay. Okay. Remember, you always want some elevation when you are plating. And then I'm gonna do this one a little bit different. I'm gonna put it on the side like that instead of just right on top. Okay? And again, you don't want people to be choking on their food. Okay, and how we're going to decorate this. Now, you always remember the chef saying, don't put anything on your plate that cannot be eaten. It has to be edible. Otherwise, don't put it on, even if it's a garnish. I'm gonna go with the parsley. Sometimes you have to break its spine to make it do what you want it to do. Look, you're not the boss of me, I am the boss. Well, this one definitely is not dry, that's for sure. Alrighty. Turkey wings 2 ways. Oh, this one's heavy. It's like a lot of veggies. Okay, this is this one. And then you have it on the leftover kale salad. Okay. But if you want to take this and you want to put them in, you know, like a stew, but you mix all that now and you're just gonna eat it, you are good to go. Look at this, falling off the bone. Look at that. Falling off the bone. It's good. Nightshade family. Call Maggie. I know. So good. And you know, I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna be munching on this, right? Sucking the marrow. Yeah. So you got food for like 3 days. And you don't have to worry about cooking. So I'm not gonna be cooking. But I always have to kind of plate it so you could see. And then I could do another one, like a poke bowl, and just put all the veggies and put it on top. I mean, the sky's the limit. All right? I know, I'm working on that book. But you know, my book is gonna be, I'm gonna separate it in sections, you know. We're gonna start with the kitchen, safety, and utensil that you need a basic cook. And then we're gonna talk about temperatures and safety because that's important. And cross-contamination to keep you safe in the kitchen. The kitchen is a great place to work, but it could be a death trap if you're not careful. You know, how you thaw out your meat, how long you leave them outside, the temperatures, and get a thermometer. That's why you see chefs always going around and have a thermometer because you're always sticking thermometers to make sure things are at the right temperature because that's how people get sick, right? Now, the lettuce thing that's happening in the U.S., that cross-contamination, it could be the way they wash the lettuce and the machine that they use. All kinds of stuff can happen. And then we're going to do soups, we're going to do salads, we're going to be curries. And of course, most of my food is what I cook. It's not going to be fried chicken and mac and cheese. Enough people do that kind of stuff because I don't eat that. So we're not going to have any of that. But things that are going to feed you and keep us healthy, right? And I know Greta has been asking for one-pot meal. I'm just not a one-pot meal person because you're going to have to cook the veggie. Like this could be a one-pot. You could call it a one-pot, right? But you cook things differently. But throwing everything once and then cook it, I'm just not big on that. All right? But anyway, on to 50,000. No, we don't have 50,000. We only barely made 20,000 and it was like, it was so hard. And I'm thinking, I do the cooking, I do the exercises, and I do the videos, and it's still a struggle. Girl, we work hard, okay? I work hard. All right, ladies, thank you so much for being with me. I'll see you again. You know how I pop in and out if I'm doing something during the week. But have a lovely day. Again, you know, if I remember, I'll take maybe a couple of pictures. There's 3 of us going to the, I keep saying opera, but it's a ballet. All right, au revoir. Have a good day. Mwah. Love you guys. Bye.